Beautiful. All right. Thank you everyone so much for joining today. This is the first annual Elevate Your Running Run Summit, and I am just so excited to be here. I got to create this summit that I started a few months ago, and it's just turned into something that I didn't realize how much I needed and wanted to do for everyone. Um, and yesterday, I got to record some sessions with some of the speakers, and it just really elevated my I don't want to say attitude, but I'm going to say attitude, but it just made me realize like how fun this is going to be today. You are going to learn some amazing things um and we're just going to have fun today. So thanks everyone for joining, and let's see, with that, I'm going to scoot my notes over. So bear with me. And we're going to begin. At any point, if I'm talking too fast, please add in the chat box to slow down. I've had a lot of coffee this morning. I'm very excited for today, and I'm coming off of a really good run as well. So all of those 30 things together means that I am probably going to talk pretty fast. So if that happens, just let me know. All right. So welcome, everyone. So excited to be here. I totally appreciate you and your support and your time today. This is going to be a magical day. I'm anticipating that we're going to end around 3 o'clock, maybe a few minutes after. Some of the portions today are recorded. So if you have any questions for those speakers, you can reach out to them directly, or send me your questions and I can help facilitate an introduction over email or through social media. Each person has a website and social media that they're sharing today, and it's going to be located in the playback notes. So either tonight or tomorrow, you'll receive all the playback information too from today, and it'll include all of their information and how you can get in contact with them and get a hold of them. And they're amazing people, and hopefully you can all establish relationships and connections with them. So as I mentioned before everyone joined in, it's supposed to be snowing in Colorado. I just looked out my window. It's not snowing yet, but I really appreciate you all for being here. And let's see, what else before we begin? Screens will be turned off. Everyone's muted. At any point today, if you have questions, just drop them in the chat box, and all the live speakers will be so happy to answer your questions as they move through the presentation. And again, anyone on playback, will get your questions over to them so we can get those answers for you. I want to celebrate wins before we begin. So this is your opportunity to go off mute, even though I just said we're going to be on mute today, and to celebrate any wins. And it could be a win like Robin finishing her run today. I'm so proud of Robin. It could be a career win. It could be a friendship win. Um, it could be really anything in your life that you're either grateful for, or that you consider like, yeah, this went really well this week. I'm excited for this. So does anyone want to share that? And you can add it in the chat box, or you can come off mute and celebrate your win with us. I feel like it's a good way to kind of set the tone for today. Do we have any wins? We have to have some wins.
I actually do. I got a raise at work, and I won the wellness prize at work, the grand prize, and I won a kayak. So I got myself a kayak.
Yeah. I am so proud of you. That's amazing. Do you know how to kayak?
Yes, I actually love kayaking. So this is finally, I'm finally getting my own kayak, so now I can go do it on my own.
That's
But
amazing. What a great upper body workout for you. And Erin's training for a marathon that's in May. And then she also has one scheduled in October. So she's a big time runner. And kayaking is just so fun. And I'm so proud of you. That's amazing. Thank you for sharing. Let's see, Amy wrote in the chat box that her win is that she's finally starting to work on being a better runner. I love that. I love that, Amy. Amy and I connected over Facebook, I want to say a handful of months ago. We worked on trying to meet up to go over running mechanics, running form, all things running, and our schedules just didn't work out. So I'm so happy that Amy's here today and she gets to learn so many wonderful things about running. And then hopefully she gets to join our run group. I host a run group on Wednesday nights. Most of you know this. Um, Host a run group on Monday nights or I'm sorry, on Wednesday nights at 5:30 in Wash Park. And then my co-coach, Tucker Gross, he also coaches a Monday night group at 5:30 p.m. at Sloan's Lake for anyone that's in the Denver area. So it's really, really great. We have a Monday and Wednesday night group. All the information's on my website, elevateyourrunning.com. Do we have any other wins to share? Any other wins?
Yeah, I had a win. So I have a second child on the way that's due in July. So that's pretty awesome. And then my running win is I've been able to consistently increase my weekly mileage now, to a point where I'm pretty comfortable running at 25 miles a week, which is never it's been a lot of years since I've been able to consistently hold and build weekly mileage. So that's my win.
Adam, that's amazing. Not only being a second time father, which is incredible, but you're also training and you're training really well right now. Adam and I follow each other on Strava and he has been consistent and he does have a really, really nice foundational like mileage built up. That 25 miles a week is it's such a beautiful point in mileage before you really start hitting the training hard. Adam's training for a half marathon it's a Leadville Trail half marathon. So a lot of elevation gain, a lot of climbing. Adam, I'm so proud of you. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And thank you for being here today. Are there any other wins? Any other wins for today? That's okay. If something comes to you and you want to add it to the chat box, you get to do that for the rest of today, whatever you want to do. I will say that my win is this summit and getting this summit off the ground and having a really great response. That just warms my heart. And I love teaching people, coaching people of all things running and just helping them hit their goals and and what they're looking to do in life. So that's my win. And with that, let's see, what else do I want to say before we like officially begin? I'll give you a little bit of background on me and then we'll start the running fundamentals presentation. So I am a run coach and I'm a certified run coach. I'm a long distance runner. Many of you know I'm a marathoner. I host run groups in Denver. Like I said, my co-coach Tucker Gross and I co-coach a Monday night run at 5:30 p.m. at Sloan's Lake, and then we have a Wednesday night run at Wash Park at 5:30. All running abilities are welcome, and we usually run about 5 miles for both of those nights. We are also in the process of putting together a marathon training group this summer, if that's of interest to anyone. It's going to be on Tuesday and Thursday evenings with an optional Saturday morning workout. And this program is going to be geared towards people specifically training for fall marathons. And you get to train with other people, which is what I found over the last year to be extremely helpful during the pandemic. And so we're putting that together. So you'll see that officially announced in probably a month or so. I also host run retreats and run groups. I'm hosting a 5K in Boulder on March 26th and it's at 9 a.m. if anyone's interested in joining. And then I also offer run retreats in Boulder. This year, I have one which is scheduled July 8th, 9th, 10th, and 11th. And there's more information on my website about that. It's going to be awesome. And I'll actually say that that's a huge win as well for me this week. I've had a really positive response, and I only have a few spots open, which blows my mind. So if anyone wants in on that, just shoot me a note and I'll make sure to save a spot for you and we can talk through the details and what it's all about. So with that, I want to get started on the presentation. So running fundamentals. I feel like as runners, whether you are a new runner or whether you're a seasoned runner, I've been running for 14 years. And when I was putting this presentation together, it really just hit me that like I think even the most seasoned runners still need to kind of rewind and go back and really look at the running basics and the running fundamentals, because I think it's so easy to strap on your shoes and just go out the door and start running. And although you can do that, and a lot of people do that, it's really not the best way to do it. You'll hear from Jason Fitzgerald later today. He is the host of the Strength Running podcast. We had an awesome conversation. You're going to love it. And he mentioned in that conversation that 60 to 70% of runners are injured every single year. And I find that's a very high statistic. And I think there's a lot of things that we can do as runners to really work on reducing that injury rate. So I want to talk about before your run. This doesn't always, I guess this doesn't all apply to being injury free, but it's just kind of a nice general guidance. So before you run, um, sometimes it's nice just to take a step back and develop a schedule that works for you. When I'm working with my athletes, with the athletes that I coach, one of the first things that I talk about is, or ask them is, what's your availability this week? What works for you? The last thing I want to do as a run coach is schedule 6 runs a week if you can really only get to 4, because that's just going to set that person up for failure, right? We want to set them up for success. So if you're looking to set yourself up for success, develop a run schedule that works for you. If that's 3 days, 4 days, whatever that looks like, just schedule it around what works for you. And let's say you want to run 20 miles a week or 25 miles a week, like Adam's doing right now, which is an amazing number. What you don't want to do is do 2 10-mile runs or 2 12-mile runs. What is better to do for your aerobic fitness and to get faster and to just be more consistent is to really spread that out over the course of 4 days or 5 days or maybe even 6 days if you can get that in, and do shorter runs. And yeah, if you have the time to do a longer run on a weekend, that's perfect too. But it's just so much better for your fitness levels and to see improvement and results and consistency when you kind of stretch that over the span of 4, 5, 6 days, something like that. I also want runners to shift their mindset, and sometimes it's not always about the distance. I do coach my athletes in distance usually, but something that I'm doing in my own training is running by minutes most times, and that seems to work really, really well too. It's nice that you don't get in your head about it, right? If you know you have a 45-minute run on the schedule, you can budget accordingly and then move on and schedule the rest of your day. If you have a 5-mile run on your schedule, you're not really sure how long that's going to take, right? It could be a fast 5 miles, even if it's an easy run. It could be a slower 5 miles. So you can shift your mindset and just set out, I'm going to run 30 minutes today, or I'm going to run 40 minutes today, 50 minutes, 60 minutes, whatever that looks like for you and whatever serves you. Planning your route and gear needed is huge. I know so many people who just walk out the door and then maybe they end up doing a longer run and they don't have fueling or they don't have water. So just planning ahead and knowing where you're going and knowing what gear you need in terms of water, any fueling, if it's a longer run, if it's raining, what kind of gear you need. I was guilty of this morning. I went out for a run and it definitely um, was like sleeting slash raining, and I was not wearing anything appropriate for that weather. So I should take my own advice. And also invest in yourself. I feel like if you're going to spend money on one thing, when it comes to running, it's a quality pair of running shoes. And I also love the thought, and I also practice this myself, of not just having one pair of running shoes, but having a few pairs of running shoes to sprinkle out throughout the week. And then it makes it fun, at least maybe for the females in this group today. I well, let me back that up. I know plenty of men who love their shoes. Um, but I also love looking at my closet and thinking, okay, today I have an easy run. So what kind of shoe do I want to wear today? Or I have a tempo run or a faster run. What kind of shoe do I want to wear today? And I have one very specific pair of shoes. It's a neon green pair. And it just brings me joy when I put them on. And sometimes I think we all need that kind of, that pair of shoes that just brings you joy, especially if it's one of those days that maybe you're struggling to get out the door. Strap on that neon green pair of shoes and get out the door, and it might, just help you get the run in. Um, something else with something else that is very big, and just Jason and I talked about this, that you'll hear later today, is starting out with a good warm up. Instead of just waking up, running out your door, it's really, really important to get your body ready to run. Starting with a 5 to 10 minute warm up, whether that's walking, it could be very, very slow running, which I still encourage you to do. My first mile of every run is the slowest mile. If you follow me on Strava or see my Garmin splits through IG stories, you know that my first mile is usually very slow and then I build into it. That's on purpose. And um, something else that Jason talked about is that elite athletes are not elite athletes because, you know, do they have the DNA gift of being a fast runner? Yes, yes, they do. But they're also doing the right things. And one of the things that they do before every single run is dynamic stretching. What is dynamic stretching? Dynamic stretching are stretches as you move. So if you've been to my run group on Wednesday nights, we try and do dynamic stretching most times, and that could be, um, you know, 15 seconds of butt kicks or 15 seconds of high knees, or pulling one knee into your chest and releasing instead of a static hold. Static holds or static stretches are really, really great for post running, but not so great before your run. So you'll notice that that if you are part of the run group, I know most of you have been there at least once, um, that we do a lot of dynamic warm up and dynamic stretches, and that's intentional. So I can also send you a list of some dynamic stretches that I like, and I'll also be putting together a YouTube video on those here in about 2 weeks when life calms down just a bit. So now you're out the door, you're running. Your first mile is your slowest mile, and that's great. During your run, you want to have the ability to talk. Most runs, right? There's that 80-20 rule with running. 80% of your runs should be easy runs, 20% should be maybe faster, which could be some speed work on a track. It could be some tempo work. It could be a 6 by 1 mile repeat, which I think Erin has on her schedule next week. It could be any of those. And so for 80% of your running, which is easy running, what does that mean? What does easy running mean? It means that you should be able to have a conversation and not feel like you can't talk while you're running. And if it's really hard to talk while you're running, then you need to slow it down, and that's okay. Um, and then something else that I'm going to talk about just quickly is form. Kevin Previs from KP Performance is joining us later today. He's going to show us proper running form which is going to be super fun. But I say don't crush the potato chip. So I want shoulders down. I want your jaw loose. I want a very relaxed face. And I want your hands and arms next to your side. And then grip or hold your thumb and pointer fingers together like you're holding a potato chip. And you don't want to crush the potato chip, right? Because you want to eat it, right? So holding it where there's a good grip, but not too hard. I know a lot of runners, or I see a lot of runners with like clenched jaws or clenched fists when they run, and you want a more relaxed approach. So Kevin will talk more into depth on that. Proper breathing form is something that is a question that I get so many times. If you're doing a lot of easy running, you want to be able to step 3 strides or 3 steps with every one exhale. And if you're doing speed work, you want to have, you want to have 2 strides or 2 steps for every one breath. So hopefully that helps. I still struggle with breathing when I'm running fast. I did a time trial last month, and I had this aha moment where my run coach was running with me, and he said, "Sarah, I need you to focus on your breathing. You're breathing way too shallow." Once I focused in on the breath and breathed from my stomach, not my chest, my abdomen, um, and breathed in 2 breaths and out, or 1 breath in, 1 breath out for every 2 steps. It helped so much. So try it on your next run and let me know how that goes. Hydration is super huge. Kelsey Beckman is coming in to chat with us about proper nutrition and fueling for your runs later today. She talks very briefly on hydration and gives some tips, but for Colorado folks who are joining us today, I think most of us are pretty dialed into the fact that it's super dry here and we need to drink a ton of water. So most of us have water bottles. I have mine right here. It kind of goes with me everywhere. I should probably get a bigger one because I feel like I'm constantly filling it up. But just drink as much water as you can throughout the day. And especially in the summer months, you sweat more, so you lose more water, and just drinking more will really help your runs. If you're dehydrated on a run, you're going to feel it. You're going to feel super crappy. You could have GI issues, and it's just not a good feeling. And it's something you can control. It's just water. It's free. If you set a reminder on your phone to drink, a certain number of ounces an hour, something like that, it will be so beneficial. I don't know if anyone's gone into a run feeling just really tired and sluggish and they're not really sure why. It's probably your hydration. Something else that I think we kind of forget about, because maybe we're running the same route all the time or we're really familiar with our surroundings, is bringing your phone in a form of ID with you just in case something were to happen, or if you were to get injured on a run, being able to contact someone to help you. And I know Garmin has a feature where there's like an emergency service on your watch, where if you press that, the people who are on your emergency list will get notified, which I have experience with. And nothing happened. I just accidentally pressed it. So, and I didn't know I pressed it until the 2 people who are on my emergency list called me freaking out, asking if I was okay. So, so if you have a Garmin, set that up. It's an amazing tool and it actually works. So for post run, let's talk about post run. So you're finished with your run. Let's say you got a few miles in, you're feeling really good. What's next? Do you sit down in a chair? I hope not. Most people probably do though, and that's okay. Let's, someone once told me it's okay to be wrong. It's not okay to stay wrong. So let's fix this. Don't sit down after a run. You'll want to do some stretching. You'll want to do some static stretches. You can do some calf work, some quad work, just some quad stretching where you're standing on one leg, lifting your grabbing your other foot and lifting your leg back for a really nice quad stretch. You can also put your feet hip width distance apart and then lean in to that stretch and move side to side. Have your hands down by your right foot, hands down by your left foot, and that can be an amazing stretch as well. Um, what else? Some really nice yoga poses too, if you have the time, which can be downward facing dog. Um, let's see, it can be um, child's pose is a beautiful stretch as well. So just doing foam rolling is huge. I'm a big advocate of foam rolling. Um, so just things like that really, really help. 5 to 10 minutes after your run, stretch it out. There's even YouTube videos. You can, I know my run clients, I send these to them. Karen Debs is a yoga instructor on YouTube. She does like 6 to 8 minutes, like cool down stretching videos. And for whatever reason, for me, that's super helpful just watching a video versus doing it alone or doing it by myself. You can also do some Epsom salt baths, massages, foam rolling, like I said, essential oils, magnesium oil is, or lotion is amazing for sore muscles. And then for hydrating while you're out on your run, just using a water bottle or a handheld bottle is super great too, especially during the summer. You won't not see me with a water bottle running. And it's also, total side note, kind of a nice like bicep exercise too. So like switch it from hand to hand throughout the run so you kind of get like an even, even out your arms there. So ways to make running fun. Let's talk about ways to make running fun because it's not fun for everyone. And I realize that. Running with a group or running with friends, family members, even your dog kind of makes it fun. Um, Even if you're running solo, like creating a really fun playlist, like whatever that means to you. I love pop music. I run to Taylor Swift, the Jonas Brothers, pretty much anytime you see the earbuds in my ear. But maybe you love country music, or maybe you love, I know people listen to classical music all the time and they love it. So, whatever works for you, create a playlist that you're excited about to listen to. And podcasts are also great if you're doing some easy running. You want to invest in proper running attire as well. So, like I said earlier, great shoes. If you're going to invest in one thing, it's great running shoes. I love the Nike Racing Flats. I also love the Brooks Adrenaline, and they used to have the Ghost, but they transferred the name into something else. But the Brooks brand is amazing. Adidas has some awesome running shoes over the last few years. They've come out with like a new line of um, Add a Zero, Add a Zero running shoes from Adidas. They're awesome. And I know Hoka's do really well. A lot of people like Hoka's. So find the shoes that work for you, usually going to a local running store and talking to them about like just how you run. I'm not sure right now what's happening, but usually they'll have you jump on a treadmill and they'll watch you run and then recommend a great running shoe for you based off of that. But I'm not really sure with COVID how that's working and if it's probably not kosher, right? I don't know. So so they'll do that for you. And also just tracking your progress through some way, shape, or form, I think is beneficial. Not so much into the day-to-day analytics, but to see how you've progressed from month 1 to month 3. I am coaching a beautiful soul right now. Her name is Stephania, and she was not a runner, but she really wants to run a 5K. And we started on January 1st together, and she's running her 5K next week. And she has had a roller coaster of a training cycle. She's had a lot going on. So some runs were tough, some runs were easy or great. And instead of getting into like getting down on those bad days or getting down on like the slower days, which are still, it's still okay. Being able to see your progress, she could not run or didn't run January 1st. And now next Thursday, we're running together to finish her 5K and for her to run a 5K. So I think it's really beneficial for you to see the progress over time and not just get so stuck into the details of that one run, because we're all going to have bad runs. So having a health app or a Garmin, an iPhone, or I'm sorry, an iWatch, also are great ways to keep track of your running and what you're doing. Plan your weekly runs ahead of time. So on Sunday night, if you're planning for the week, let's say you're planning your meetings for the week, schedule your runs like a meeting and it will help incredibly. Like commit to yourself and commit to that time that you're using it for running, and it'll help a lot. If you have a workout buddy, checking in with them is also super great. Stephanie hired me as her running coach, so we are working together and I get to hold her accountable and also check in with her pretty much. Well, she's running 3 days a week, or 4 days a week. So we check in 4 times a week to see how she's doing and if she has any questions or any just getting that little like extra motivational like um, guidance and motivation. I don't know. It's just super, super helpful. You can also find a local running group to join. And I know of a few if you're looking for one. And also signing up for races. I feel like lights at the end of the tunnel right now. There's a lot of races being scheduled, in-person races. So if you're that person that wants to have and needs a goal towards something, schedule a race. Or if you don't want to do an in-person race this year, scheduling a time trial. I have a friend, Gemma's on today. She's beautiful. She has also started running over the last year, and she decided she was going to run a 10K. So that's what she did. She scheduled a day, it was in her calendar. She was working towards that goal. And then she set the day up as like race day, and she went out there and totally crushed the run. I'm so proud of her. 6.2 miles. A year ago, she wasn't a runner, she was a swimmer. But with COVID, all the pools were closed down. So she turned, to running. And now I think I have marathons on her bucket list for 2021. So it's super exciting to see. And you get to create whatever you want. If you want to do a virtual race, if you want to do a time trial by yourself, if you want to run it in person race, like you do you and whatever works for you. Also hiring a run coach definitely helps just keep the motivation and keep it easy. I have a run coach, and it's just really nice to wake up every morning and see what I get to do with my training that day and make it happen instead of planning it out and thinking about it. And I probably wouldn't push myself as hard as my run coach does. And it's just nice to have someone to go to and ask questions, because I still have questions, and it's nice to go to him and just get that reassurance and get those questions answered. Um, so you want to make your time count. So even if you have 15 minutes between Zoom calls or 30 minutes, even going out for 15 or 30 minutes is huge. So don't think of it like, oh, I have 6 miles on my schedule today, I can't get out there and do it. But you have a 30-minute window, go do it anyways. Just get the 30 minutes in. And then if you get another 30 minutes in down the road that day or later in the day, amazing. You can do another 30-minute run if you really want to. And maybe those two runs together equal what you were supposed to do that day. So think creative, get outside of the box. You also want to increase your mileage slowly. Adam touched on this when he was sharing his win. He has been consistent and he's been increasing slowly. So what does that mean? It means maybe adding 10 to 15% total mileage every week for 3 weeks and then giving yourself a down week. So if you're running 10 miles for week 1, you could run 12 miles for week 2, 14-ish, maybe 15 miles for week 3, and then going back to 10 miles for week 4. And that will help you stay injury free, as well as also starting out slow and doing your dynamic stretches. And Andrea makes a great point in the chat box. she can't go from 3 miles to 10 miles in one run. Andrea, I'm gonna share your story. I'm coaching Andrea, and um, I'm trying to think back. I think she had a 5-mile run on the schedule, but she missed a few runs that week. So Andrea went out and ran 10 miles instead of 5 because she felt like, she would make up the 5 miles that she didn't hit earlier that week in training. And I think that one is super, super common. I think a lot of people think like that. And I love her determination to get her mileage in for the week. Um, but I also want to see her cross the finish line healthy and injury free. And I think one of the easiest ways to get injured is going from 0 to 100 without a slow buildup. So if you're looking to train for a marathon this fall, starting now with a lot of foundational work, a lot of base building, a lot of slow running, and then gradually increase that run or those runs so you set yourself up for success. So when you do begin actual marathon training, you have established a really nice foundation of running and you can build from that. Um, so thanks for commenting, Andrea. You're still a rock star. I love you. Um, let's see, what else do we want to talk about? Let's see, common mistakes runners make: going out too fast, too quickly, too soon. Jason Fitzgerald talks on this briefly. It's just a way to stay injury free is if you take it slow, follow a plan, and do your stretches. And if anything does feel off, don't push through it. That is, if there's one, two, maybe three things you take away from today, if you're feeling something that's not right, taking 2, 3 days off is so much better than pushing through it and then ending up with a really big injury that maybe you're out for a few weeks or a few months, because that will be detrimental to your training. So I learned that the hard way. I think the older I get, the easier it is to shut it down for a few days when I feel something's off versus pushing through. In my 20s, that's all I wanted to do was push through that pain and it'll be fine. And what happened was, um, I had I started getting IT band issue and pain in my right leg, which pulls on your kneecap. If anyone's familiar with that, it's a muscle that attaches your hip to your knee. So it comes through in outside knee pain. Um, and I pushed through it during a race. So I ran 5 miles with a very sore knee, and it turned into a 6 month rehabilitation process of getting that muscle back to being normal. And if I just would have walked the 5 miles in the race versus pushing through the pain, I probably could have been running in a few weeks, if not, a few days. So it does help to just listen to your body. What else? Consistency. That's another thing. I talk to all of my athletes about. It's probably the first thing that comes up is that consistency will yield results. It just will. If you're consistent with your training and you get to decide whatever that is too, whatever that looks like for you. You can be consistent with 3 days a week, 4 days a week, 5 days a week. But if you are consistent, you will 100% see results. You will see improvement. You will see your times get faster. I think Gemma is a great example of this. She started running last year and her times have been, she's getting faster and faster. And she's also dedicated and she's making it happen. And she's running a certain number of days a week. And she's been consistent with coming to the run group on Wednesday nights, which I love. Yay, let's clap for Gemma. And consistency will 100% give you what you're looking for. And then you get to apply all these other little things to just bump you up 1%, 1% more, 1% more. And what I'm talking about, those little things, is doing the dynamic stretches before you get out to run, running your first mile slow, hydrating and making sure throughout the entire week that you're hydrating enough and staying hydrated. fueling properly, and not just fueling your runs properly, but fueling your entire week properly. Usually what I eat Wednesday and Thursday during the week determines how my Saturday long run's gonna go. So carbo loading Friday night, although I still do that, doesn't really have as much of an impact as if I really focus in on my nutrition on Wednesday and Thursday of that week. So um, it's all those little things, also post-run stretching and fueling within 30 minutes after your run. It's all those little tiny things that start bumping you up, 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 up. And then before you know it, you are running so strong, you're feeling amazing, you're feeling so great. And combining that with consistency will really, really help you in the long run. Pun intended? I don't know. Let's see. Okay, so lastly, I want to talk about how to stay motivated when races are canceled. And this kind of goes back to like how to make running fun. Um, how to stay motivated. So surround yourself with just a really good network of people, like a community of people. I think the running community is such a special community, and everyone is so beautiful and they really lift each other up. But I also encourage you to have a good network of running friends who will encourage you and love on you and give you the support, and also tell you if something's not working right, that they're going to be there to let you know that. I also think like your significant other and spouse is huge in this. If you don't have the support of someone that you're dating or someone that you're with, it just makes it harder to do what you want to do. So if you have their buy-in, if they have your back and they're lifting you up and encouraging you to get out there and run and get out there and race and join those run groups, that's huge. So I say teamwork makes the dream work. So teamwork within your significant other, teamwork within your friendships, teamwork within your family, and just having those people lift you up and support you. Run groups are also another great example of not only holding you accountable, but then also making really great friends in that run group. Um, and I guess if anyone feels like they're hesitant to join a run group, what I'll say to you is like everyone's there for fun. I have not met one person who's there saying like, well, I need to run a 7-minute mile, so I'm not running with you and I'm going to go off and do my own thing. Like everyone who's there just wants to run, and it doesn't really matter what the pace is. And a very specific example from last week's run group, I had a gentleman join and he was a little bit older and he started to slow down quite a bit. And there was a group of 3 other guys that pulled back with him and finished with him versus just letting him, run alone. And that was a beautiful thing to see. So if you're nervous about joining a run group, don't be. Everyone's there to lift you up and support you. And I also feel like if you run with faster runners, it makes you a faster runner. So, and then lastly, I'll say like, just hiring a run coach is super motivating, and it just helps you in so many different ways kind of elevate your running game. So that is my presentation on running fundamentals and just getting back to the basics on things that whether you knew them before or you didn't know them, it's just nice to really kind of get grounded on that and set yourself up for success. Does anyone have any questions at all about that? About the presentation or any training specific questions? Any questions at all? Let's see. And you can absolutely type your question into the chat box. You can go off mute and ask your question. We do have a question in the chat box. Amy's wondering if there's a schedule for today. Yes, there is. Yes, the running mechanics is going to be from 2 to 2:30 today. And that's with Kevin from KP Performance. At 11 o'clock today, we have Dr. Justin Ross coming in talking about the mental side of running and how important it is to have a strong mental game when you're training. So when your training runs are going south quickly, we've all had those, that that you have the wherewithal and the mental strength to push through it, because come race day, it's not going to be a perfect day. And the last thing we want to see is your training having a beautiful training cycle and then getting too much in your head on race day and not performing the way that you wanted to perform because something was off. The weather, the water hydration station, which is usually a cluster of people, and having to slow down and stop because of that. So he's going to talk about that. And then at noon, I have Tucker Gross coming in, and he's going to talk about ways to run faster and how to Boston qualify if you're kind of in that area of your life. And at 12:30, we have Kelsey Beckman coming on talking about all things fueling with nutrition and how to fuel your runs. And then at 1 o'clock, I have Jason Fitzgerald coming on and talking through strength training for runners. He's been a longtime runner. He's a host of a #1 running podcast on iTunes, and we had a great conversation. So that's from 1 to 1:45. And then 2 o'clock, we have Kevin coming on to talk about running form. And 2:30, we're going to close with like a restorative yoga class with Laura Johnson, Dr. Laura Johnson from Yellow Brick Physical Therapy in Boulder. So we're going to have small breaks throughout the day, like 5-10 minutes. Everyone's off camera, so if you want, and muted. So if you want to grab some snacks, grab some water, grab some coffee, grab some lunch, you'll get little breaks here and there to do that. And let's see, what else? What else is there? Everything's on replay, so I'll be sending replay information later today and tomorrow. Amy, does that answer your question? Okay, she says yes. Great. Awesome. And then Robin asked, what's usually the culprit of a side stitch? Oh, it could be so many things. I had it this morning, running, which is not common. So it could be a lot of different things. You could be consuming too much fat before a run. You could be not letting your food digest. So you'll want to tune into Kelsey's segment at 12:30. She talks briefly about this. You could be having too much fiber in your diet. Too much fat, too much fiber, eating too soon before you go out for a run. So I started my run at 6:30 this morning, and I did not wake up fast. Like I didn't wake up early enough to consume what I needed to consume for the run that I had and letting it digest before I got out the door. So I definitely felt it around mile 2, which is usually when it happens for me. But if you do have a side stitch, you can slow down. Usually slowing down helps. Sometimes walking and then picking back up the running will help it. But yeah, just to circle back, usually the culprit is not letting your food digest, eating too much fiber, or eating too much fat before a run. So simple carbs are best. A banana. If you're Kelsey's going to talk about this, but if you're, 2 hours away, 3 hours away from a run, you can definitely eat a bagel with a little bit of peanut butter. Some people are okay with oatmeal, some people are not. So you just kind of have to eat what works for you, but really honing in on the fat, fiber, and then the timing. And Kelsey's going to talk more about the timing. So thanks, Robin, for that question. Does that help you, Robin? And does anyone else have any questions, any other comments, feedback, anything else? Dr. Justin Ross is coming in 5 minutes, and he has a presentation, so he'll be doing a screen share, and he's an amazing person, so I know you'll learn a lot from him. Oh, hydration. Um, I would say too much water. If you're getting a side stitch, it could be too much water too fast. So I try and really do a great job hydrating throughout the day. But if I'm running in the afternoon or evening, that hour before a run, I try and really just not drink a lot because I know for me that does and can impact my running. So too much water can, but not being dehydrated or being dehydrated wouldn't cause that. Um, and I know it's a fairly common thing too. A lot of runners have it and get it. So just knowing you and your body and what that looks like definitely will help you succeed. And it's not 100%. Like I have dialed my nutrition in pretty well, and yet still this morning, which I kind of knew going into it that it was probably going to be a problem because I ate a banana at 6 a.m. with a cup of coffee and then went out and ran fast 30 minutes later. That's not enough time. So yes, wonderful. Well, we have 4 minutes before Dr. Justin Ross comes on and gives an awesome presentation, and he will be talking for, I think, about 45 minutes, and then we'll be doing some Q&A with him. And I also have some questions for him because I struggled. I ran a time trial last month in Denver, and the week leading up to it was I wasn't feeling too hot mentally, so it'll be good to hear what he has to say and all that good stuff. So we're going to take a quick break. We have 3 minutes. If you want to jump up, do some jumping jacks, maybe grab some coffee, some water, a snack, whatever you need to set yourself up for success. And we'll be back in about 3 minutes.